Subculture.
And we welcome you to Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, the review of episode 2 here on This Is Wrestling. It's Lee Versage. It is Zach McGibbon. Zach, good to be able to talk to you again. And we are now 2 episodes deep into Maple Leaf Pro and looking forward to breaking this one down. How are you?
Doing pretty good, Mr. Versage. Yes, another week of Maple Leaf has gone by. Maple Leaf Mayhem. And really starting to flesh out more of the storylines, who they're trying to put over, some of the wrestlers that they want featured. And it's one of those cool moments of being on the ground floor of something when it comes to television that you get to see develop before your very eyes. And so very much looking forward to breaking down this second episode here.
Yeah, I love, before we get into the actual results, I love that as well, because I feel like everything is fresh and not necessarily like, we'll talk about, I like some things, I didn't like some things, but there is this, for me, a little excitement or of something new. And you've said it last week, you've said it on a couple of shows, how refreshing it is to have an hour show, it's paced properly, and you kind of get in, you get some wrestling, you get some promos, you get some interviews, and you're out. And it feels like, oh, okay. Like, I felt like this again after episode 2, which that's the part right now that's going to be bringing me back. I like that aspect.
Yeah, same here. I'm loving it's tight. It's getting everything in. It's a good mix of matches and promos. It's not too heavy on one end. You know, I'm the wrestling guy, so I don't mind having more matches, but I think this is a really nice balance of being able to have the matches while still being able to put over your wrestlers, especially because, I mean, you have to at this stage when you're part of a new television deal and trying to get these new stars over to the broader public. So I'm really liking this, and it was another one of those. It was nice to be able to click and watch it and be able to have the hour in, have some good wrestling, and follow with the promo videos, and then be done and be like, all right, I can do this. This is nice. It's not the big thing right now for Maple Leaf Pro that they have the advantage to is that this is not a huge commitment to your time when you have so many different options to pick from in pro wrestling. It's not a huge commitment. You come in, you get your hour, and then you're out.
Agreed. And I like how you said, oh, I can click and watch, like the rest of us turn on our TV,
Right.
and we'll actually watch.
Yes.
We don't click so like our phone to watch it, but hey, 2026, you can watch however you want to watch. And we got to see a couple of familiar faces right away because the first faction was out. Brent Banks, Sheldon Jean as your Maple Leaf Pro champions. And they were out. Who are they going against? Well, they're going against Mascara Dorada, who we have seen a lot lately in AEW with the crossover with CMLL, Captain Suicida as well. And that kind of started things off. And I was happy. I watched Banks and Sheldon Jean come to the ring, and we know them a little bit because of like our history within the independent scene here in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to see how that would really translate on TV. And because Zach, I mean, you're the guy, the announcer for Remix and for Acclaim and independent wrestling. It's very like ground floor, but you're always appealing to the audience. Like you don't really have a hard cam to be looking at. Wrestling on TV is very different, isn't it? Before we get to the matches again, like nobody better to talk to about this than you, because you have been to so many independent shows where the wrestlers literally have to engage in the audience. and they don't really have to worry about the hard cam, about all the nuances that go into wrestling on TV, right?
Oh yeah, totally fair. In terms of the independents here, you get your one still camera shot, and then you have the one roving cam, and that's pretty much it for a lot of the local independent productions. And so a lot of the time, you have a lot of those wrestlers, as you mentioned, being able to appeal to a crowd and work a crowd, as opposed to, all right, hard cam's over there, I gotta look to the hard cam because that's the style. And when you have a bigger television production like what Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling is doing, and of course every other major league company out there, is that you got your hard cam, but you also have your multiple cameras on the floor. So it's not just the one roving guy. You've got multiple cameras so it does become different. And you have to add into the fact, now there are some indies that appeal to this where they give you like a guideline, but especially on TV, it's like, okay, you've got 8 minutes and that's it. Like, you're not going over here. And if you go over, you're screwing over everybody else because we have a set time that we have to reach. There's a little bit more of a leeway on the indies. I know there's some promotions that they are harder when it comes to, all right, we want to keep this as an 8-minute match or 10-minute match, and keep the spots to this. But it is especially prevalent on TV. And so there is a bit of a transition where you have to get used to that TV wrestling style, where it is big production, lights, and the cameras, like, and you have to appeal to the audience at home on top of the audience in the building. So there are a lot more facets to it than just, appealing to a crowd.
And the reason I bring that up is because I was impressed with Brent Banks and Sheldon Jean specifically on their ability to do that, because I've seen, and I'm sure you have probably more than me, I've seen like really good independent wrestlers sometimes get on TV and they're a little bit overwhelmed from okay, all of a sudden I got to do this, but then I got to look over here because, as you said, the camera's on the floor, but then I got to look back to the hard cam, but then I got to do the move. And like, it's a little bit overwhelming for some of them initially. I didn't find that when I watched Banks and Gene on TV. And I think that for me was impressive. Like, it's a little thing, but I didn't find them awkward on television, especially in the first match that they're presenting. Now, would I have liked to have seen at some point some sort of highlight of them beating the Good Brothers for those belts? Even just like a quick highlight? Yep. Because as they mentioned, the Good Brothers, internationally known, and they beat them, but they're just sort of telling you. They're not showing you. I feel like they would have had some tape from that, Zach. No? So that's something I didn't love, but they still put over that they beat like a really good team. And obviously facing Suicida and Dorada, these guys are major international players here. So I'm excited to hear what you thought of the match.
Yeah, when I saw that this match was happening, I was like, oh boy, here we go. We saw Mascara Dorada live on that AEW pay-per-view, a big stage for him. And obviously wrestling in Arena Mexico. And in a match with Okada and Takeshita, he somehow came out as like the guy everyone was like, oh, I want to see more of this Mascara Dorada. Like, he seemed to really step up.
Yeah.
And he's somebody that's kind of on the up and coming in CMLL as well. I haven't seen too much Capitan Suicida, but I was like, all right, this is an opportunity to kind of see it. And one of the things that Maple Leaf has been trying to say too is try to be more of that international showcase of different wrestlers and have different, promotions represented, not just AEW and I guess you could argue Ring of Honor as well, but also CMLL and some of the different partnerships that Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling has. So coming into this, I was like, all right, this is exciting. Like, you get to see two Canadian talents go up against some internationally known wrestlers. I thought this was pretty solid, opening tag match. Kind of continues on what we were saying last week. A lot of solid TV wrestling. I thought these two teams really worked well with each other. I was very interested to see, like you, how Brent Banks and Sheldon Jean would work in that sort of format. I know with Jean, I've known Sheldon for a couple of years, and seen him, he's traveled to Japan and worked for Pro Wrestling Noah, and he's somebody he was also on Big Brother Canada for a bit before the pandemic shut everything down during his season. So it's not like he's totally unfamiliar with the cameras, but still, it's a big spot for him. He's also currently the C4 champion, which is nice to have that Ottawa connection in the case of us being an Ottawa-based pro wrestling podcast. But all that to say, I thought it was a solid TV opener. Really good stuff. Obviously, they were really putting over the heelish aspects of First Faction. So you got some of the heel tactics there, but it wasn't like over the top, over thoughts booking like we've seen with some of the major promotions. It was just simple, effective, get it over. Like, right. Okay, this is they're tag team champions, but they're also part of this heel faction that is something to keep an eye on moving forward.
Yeah, I can tell you at the beginning, I didn't love how sometimes I think when you're a new promotion or you're a promotion on TV, there's this whole like you really need to play to the crowd and you really need to get the crowd invested. And I thought Dorada and Suicida overdid it at the beginning.
Yes.
Like they're out there and they're trying to get them clapping, and it's like, okay, guys, like you want to build to me a community where you don't have to do that because the fans want to see you wrestle anyway. They don't need to be encouraged. They don't need, because it felt a little bit of like worldwide to me, where they're at the studios in Orlando, but they're not really wrestling fans. So we got to do everything we can to get them off their seat. Yeah. And somebody had a sign, right, that just said like MLP.
Yep.
Like, okay, we don't need to plant signs. We don't need to have the applause thing happen where everyone, and we certainly don't need Dorada and Suicida overplaying we're going to just spend the first 2 minutes of this match trying to get the crowd up and clapping and dance. Like, we know you're good. Get out there and show us why you're good. And they got to it eventually. This one felt a little bit formulaic to me.
Yep.
Where like they're kind of, well, you do this and you do this and I'll do that. And I think that can happen sometimes. But that all being said, it was, as you said, a good TV opener. And I thought the not the worst part, but the with Bryce Hansen on the outside, I didn't think he added to anything. Like, he just seemed like another guy out there that might even be the third wheel in the faction anyway, and didn't really know what he was doing.
Yeah.
But some of the aerial stuff and some of the, I'll just call them like the hops, that especially Brent Banks, like, yep. He got out there, he dove over the rope, and he cleared the rope by like 6 feet.
Yes.
And got out there and landed on his feet after doing a planche, and like, it was, wow. Like, that was a lot of air that he got.
Yeah.
It was very impressive. But
yes,
the heels do win, and Sheldon Jean and Brent Banks with the tag team championships. And they defeated Captain Suicida and Mascara Dorada. After that, I thought, for me, so far, Zach, the best promo vignette that they have shown so far, I thought it was really, really good with the Subculture.
Yep.
And Danny Luna as part of that group and having them back in Wales. I just thought this was really good. Like, if you don't know Danny Luna at all, like, I watch this and go, yeah, they are presenting her like a major player in the company. And she's in a group that I kind of like, and it's got a little bit of that it factor to me. They did a really good job editing and cutting this, and it made me gravitate towards all of them. And then when she got in the ring, I had a little bit more of an emphasis on her than I do with some other people. And then I thought she delivered. I thought she was really good in this. I liked the video. I liked the promo. and I liked her in the ring in this match.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is my favorite segments so far in MLP. The stuff that they did with Danny Luna, the promo video that you mentioned, where they're just kind of different parts of town, and really it's just Mark Andrews mainly talking to Danny Luna, but also getting some opinions from Flash Morgan Webster. It felt like the most real of everything. You know what I mean? Where it's like it's human beings being human beings.
100%.
How many times, Lee, when you go on and you watch a television show from any of the major promotions, where it's like, here's my guest at this time, and then they walk in from stage left, and it's like, insert wrestler name. What do you think about the upcoming title match on the August 22nd date, just for sake of example? I'll tell you what I think about the August 22nd date for that title match. And then they cut their little promo, and it's all formulaic, and it's the same stuff we've been seeing on TV for so long. This felt so refreshing, where you're just getting to know Danny Luna and this whole subculture group and their thoughts on Danny Luna. Be like she may not even just be the best women's wrestler. Like, she could be the best wrestler, period. And really putting her over. I thought this was so well done, and I hope they take elements of this and try to apply it to all the rest of the shows moving forward, because this was like one of the things I'm watching where I'm like, this could really make them stand out if they do more promo videos like this and actually make it feel like I'm listening to these human beings talk about how they're trying to achieve their goals. And to coincide with that, the match afterwards, which was against Vanna Black, who we've seen at C4 before, this was a great way to, like, right away, you're like, okay, she is a contender. She's probably going to challenge Giselle Shaw for that women's championship at some point, whether it be at that show at Maple Leaf Gardens or
Northern Rising.
Yeah, the Northern Rising show, or on a future MLP Mayhem television episode. But right away they established it, and they did a very good job to where I wanted to see that match moving forward. It was simple, effective, did its job, and this is what a squash match can do in this case, where it's not just like what's happening in the ring, but you're getting a look of like why people think she's legitimate and why she's one of the best. And Danny Luna is somebody I've been on the main This Is Wrestling shows pounding the desk saying somebody needs to sign her, because she is just such a great talent. And I think she's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, certainly one of the best unsigned women's wrestlers in the world. So the fact that Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling has this opportunity right now to utilize Danny Luna and the way that they've been pushing her gives me a lot of hope that they're really going to move forward with her. And the whole stuff, like you had Giselle Shaw on commentary too with Morrow and Don Callis, which wasn't the greatest. It wasn't great.
Zach, I had my like what you said about the promo and how real it came across, and it didn't seem scripted at all. It came across very authentic, very real. We're just getting to know them. They're almost interviewing themselves, putting themselves over, but in this real way. And it has nothing even close to being like the example you used of announcer. What do you think? Like it was so different and so the opposite of that. And it was great. It's the first promo in a long time where I watch a promo, I'm like, I am excited to watch her.
Yeah.
And then she gets in the ring and she delivered. She has an aura about her that I thought was tremendous. Saying all that, what are they doing with Giselle Shaw on commentary? We do this way too much in the world of wrestling. We're trying to establish the thought process is you're trying to establish that Danny Luna is the contender, but the champion is out there. The champion is recognizing that this is the next person that's coming along, and you're putting the two in the same sphere so that people know that they're going to be paired. I understand the thought process, but if people are not good on commentary, don't put them on commentary.
Right.
Do it in another way.
Yeah.
To me, this one was fine if Giselle Shaw just came out as Danny Luna was winning the match and stood there and sort of like, okay, I see you, but I am the champion. I didn't need to hear some fluff on commentary because quite frankly, it wasn't very good. It took away from the match. And then afterwards, the promo, because they did a good job at following up, but they're like, oh, you should have heard what she said about you on commentary. My God, what did you even really say to her about her?
It wasn't much. It felt very disconnected at that point. It's like, if it was a little bit more biting on commentary, like, then it would have gotten that segment over. Like, you understood what they were going for, but
100%.
But it didn't work.
It's like if you have a good idea, but the people aren't capable of following through to make that idea good, then don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like we had a good idea, so we're going to do this good idea no matter how it's going to come across. It's a good idea. Well, I can tell you it was a good idea that it did not translate. And I don't think it makes, when you have somebody out there in a third capacity that's certainly the rookie of the broadcast team, especially with Morrow and Don Callis.
Yes.
It's really hard for anybody to get in there and be the focus of what you're saying and to do enough with your words to be able to shift the focus from the commentary of the match to what is upcoming between Giselle Shaw and Danny Luna.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard thing to do. It's not easy. Like I totally understand, but if you can't execute it, don't do it. That's my.
If they just cut off Giselle Shaw from commentary and that post match thing was like, did you hear what she said on commentary? I think it still would have been the same effect in terms of, okay, this is somebody that's a legitimate contender in this women's division who's probably going to challenge Giselle Shaw in the future. Like, I think that the result would have been the same, but I think they just did a little bit too much at the end.
Yeah, you could have had Giselle Shaw just come out or almost meet her in the back. Like, I saw you and I'm ready for you.
Yep.
That kind of thing. Subtle, short, don't have to overthink it.
Yep.
However, that being said, I really liked a lot of what I saw.
Oh, in terms of building it up, like I still came away from it thinking this is somebody that's going to be legitimate. And like, I was already excited knowing that Danny Luna was going to be there because I'm already a Danny Luna guy. But seeing how they portrayed her on TV and the promo video and the match she had, I thought I just, checked a lot of boxes in terms of how to put somebody over in a matter of 10 minutes.
Yeah. Then they kind of previewed what was coming up next week. And now I'm excited. Now you've continued this for me because, yes, we have some local ties to these people, but my guy, Von Vertigo, going to be on next week.
Yep. The V guy tag teaming with Gabriel Fuerza, reuniting a fight or flight.
I don't know if you saw the video that they did away from it on social media.
I did.
Alexia Nicole, who was with Gabriel Fuerza, trying to get them back on the same page. And it was quite funny.
Yeah, it was a good little video.
Yeah, it was quite funny. So Alexia Nicole also will be on the card next week. So 3 people that we see often in C4 that have been in the independent scene, whether it's in Toronto, whether it's in Ottawa. And I would have to say, Zach, they're sort of upper echelon Canadian independent wrestlers for me, like all 3 of them.
I would agree, especially with how much Von Vertigo in particular travels outside of Canada, going to the States and working for American promotions and worldwide. These guys are in the upper echelon of the Canadian independent scene. They're your reliable go-tos when it comes to in-ring work in the scene. So it's nice. It's really cool to kind of see them get this opportunity, especially against Subculture. I think is going to be. I'm really looking forward to that. So I saw that match now, so like, all right, let's go. And that's not even it. As you mentioned, Alexia Nicole is also going to be in a match next week, and another Ottawa connection in a way, also going to be having a match at the upcoming Mayhem show.
Who's that?
The Rohan Raju and Evil Uno match.
Yes, of course. And I think they're doing a good job as Rohan Raja's, planting the seed again. At least they told people who he was this time, which was good. and explaining why he did what he did to Stu Grayson, and now he's going to face Evil Uno. It makes sense. I know that you like this stuff, Zach. Things that just make sense. So part of the Dark Order, one of Stu Grayson's best friends, and Rohan Raj is going to face Evil Uno before he probably ends up fighting Stu Grayson for that title. One little tiny thing, the title that Rohan Raja had that he talked about that he's had for over 600 days.
Yeah.
Which title is that, and why is he bringing that into Maple Leaf Pro? That's my question.
That is a great question. I know that he was mentioning that, but it's those little things that that was also something we saw the week earlier. It was like, maybe kind of like I'm usually on this show saying you don't have to explain everything, only key details, I think. And sometimes you can let the wrestlers tell the story, but in this case, I think they should have had a little bit more of an explanation for why this championship that Rohan Raja has is so important and why he feels that's like why should it be important in this storyline?
Yeah, I have no idea because I don't know what title it is.
Yep.
Great that he's had one for 600 days, but my immediate thought was Sheldon Jean's a C4 champion.
Yeah. By the way, what did you think of because we're getting 4 matches for Mayhem. What did you think of this combination of wrestlers in this trios match? I never thought I would be like tuning into TSN and see these specific three wrestlers teamed together on national TV. Lee, the team of Jay Lethal, Blake Christian, and Lee Johnson. That's not too crazy.
Lethal Twist.
Not too crazy. I'm like, all right, cool. Getting those guys on TV. Those are good wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
Facing off against this tag team, this trios, Lee. Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
Zach Gowen.
Yeah.
And Psycho Mike. What a trio. Like, oh my goodness.
It is quite different. Again, so I'm glad you brought this up because this ties into me of a little bit. I don't know. Like I get why they're doing it. We saw last week in the debut episode, they had Rhino come out and have a squash match. And I'm like, I don't know. Rhino's old. He's been around a long time, but he's not even Canadian. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing? Not for me if you're trying to move into the future, having a Rhino squash match.
No.
Not for me when I saw Billy Gunn, who is in his late 50s, and I know he's in great shape, and I'd love to be in half the shape that Billy Gunn is in at his age. But regardless, I don't need to see Billy Gunn on my TV because it feels a little bit like, okay, you're desperate to put a name on TV to get people watching TV, but the people you really want watching this don't want to see Billy Gunn anyway.
Yes.
But that is quite a trio.
Not even late 50s, Lee, for Billy Gunn.
He's 60.
He's turning 63 this year.
Oh my God.
He's turning 63 this year.
That's wild.
And he's in insane shape for a guy his age.
And it has nothing to do, like, it's not a tear down of Billy Gunn at all. No. Like this guy has worked his ass off, no pun intended.
Well done.
Has really worked hard. And again, imagine even being close to the shape that he's in at 63 years old. It's more to, I don't want to watch Billy Gunn as a 63-year-old on my television screen because you feel like you need a name in your new promotion to get things over.
Yeah.
So we transition into the main event of episode 2, and that was TJP and Johnny TV in the main event. So Johnny TV comes out first, and I thought they did a decent job with TJP bringing him out kind of second. There was because at the beginning of the match, I'm like, oh my God, they're just going to put Johnny over. And then TJP came out and he looked good. He had a good look to him. I know he's been around for a while too, but They gave him a lot of offense in this match. So they did have me questioning a little bit like, oh, are they going to do the right thing and put TJP over? No, they're not.
No, they're not.
So this was, to me, a flat end to the show where I don't really need to see Johnny TV on my television screen. It feels, again, a little bit desperate for a name that, like, really, like, what's he going to be in your company? What is the goal of where you think that Johnny TV, Johnny Nitro, Johnny, I was in wrestling 25 years ago.
Yep. Which is hard to believe at this point, but yeah.
Again, great shape. But where do you see him in the company? Do you see him as a credible threat to your champion? Like, are you considering putting like a belt on making Johnny TV a focal point of your television show? I hope not, Zach. And they just sort of, like, at the end, it was a decent match. I thought Perkins got in a lot, but in the end, it was just like, I don't know. Johnny TV won. He goes up the ramp, does his stupid little hand in the air, and almost like the wind used to blow in his hair, and like they did some TV pun, and they just sort of went off the air. And I'm like, that to me, it's a real flat way to go off the air. Was not my favorite ending of a television show for sure. Decent match, but again, as a fan, I don't know where they're going with Johnny TV, and I certainly don't need him in the main event.
I agree. I thought this ending as well was flat. Just kind of, oh, that's it. I guess they were trying to go with the idea is like you end off with a solid TV main event, which again, I thought this was. I thought this is another one of those solid TV main events. Very well worked technically. I could have done without the meta glasses spots all throughout the match, but
so thank you for bringing it up. And I didn't want to be too negative,
yes.
But it's not a comedy show, man. I know everyone's got to be a little different, but I don't need this kind of comedy wrestling in the main event of a show that you're supposed to be serious about moving forward with.
Yeah.
So I did not like the glasses spot at all.
Yeah. It went on way too long. So of course, when they threw away the meta glasses, the crowd chanted, "We want the glasses." And I'm like, no, I'm actually good personally. I have my fill of the glasses
problem, right? You do it over and over again, and then they throw the glasses away, and now the crowd is involved in something that really they don't need to be involved in. Like,
no, it should have been like something as like a fun little spot, but because they went on that spot for so long, for as long as they did, it became a part of the story of the match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it kind of took away a little bit where they put way too much focus on that spot, went on way too long.
Yeah.
Once we got away from the meta glasses spot, I thought it was pretty well worked technically. Again, it's not going to blow your socks off, to steal a comp I heard from Jonathan Gresham on the podcast. It's not a Wrestle Kingdom main event or anything like that, but it's still, it's a solid TV main event.
That fits right into your vocabulary too, right? Like,
I heard it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to steal this for future reviews.
And I feel like that's not going to be a one-time thing.
So it's maybe an evolution of not exactly Kobashi versus Masawa out there, right? But no, I thought it was technically worked well, but again, there were some little things. It's like, and there's also the part of me, it's like, are we really going to feature Johnny TV, Johnny Nitro, John Morrison, Johnny Mystery, Johnny Impact, Johnny, WWE, like all those names? Do we really need to have him be featured in 2026? I really don't think so. I was never a Johnny TV hater, but not at this stage of his career and not at this stage with the new promotion.
No, because the answers were, or the question is, where are you going with him? And the answer should be, you should be moving forward with, whether it's your Sheldon Jeans or Brent Banks as the tag champs. I think that's good. Yep. Danny Luna looked really good. I mean, Giselle Shaw is a credible champion. Stu Grayson, probably like an interim. We'll see if they put it on Rohan Raja or if there's another contender. that they're going to put it on, but you can like they're legitimate guys, like they're the now. And there's a little too heavy for me. The Rhinos, the Billy Guns, the Johnny TVs that are well past their prime. And I know they're trying to get eyeballs on the thing, but you're not going to keep those eyeballs around anyway.
Yeah.
So like, it's just not for me. And I understand they need to get some eyeballs on and people watching the show. I get it, but it's just not for me. The rest of the show is. I think they did some really good things in this show.
Yep.
I just didn't need at the end. Oh, next week is Billy Gunn, but here's Johnny TV in our main event, and like,
right.
Oh,
yeah. It's trying to find the right balance. I do think there is something about having like a veteran guy, but that can be there as a legitimizer. Like similar to now, this is a much bigger comp, but like when Jericho showed up in AEW, and that was a legitimizer for that company to have him in the main event, and having Kenny Omega and Hangman Page and those guys be in that main event at that time with Jericho because he was seen as a name player. But there's a difference between Chris Jericho and Billy Gunn, Lee, and so I think in this case, I think in this case, they should probably. It goes back to scouting. Is like, okay, who's going to be a veteran guy that can provide the immediate, that's a name, but can also put over your guys? I personally don't see that in Billy Gunn in the year of our Lord 2026.
No, I would agree. But let's focus on next week because I think some of the things that we are excited about, we mentioned seeing Von Vertigo, seeing Gabriel Ferrerza, Alexia Nicole, Evil Uno is going to be there. So they've got me sort of invested enough with some of the things that they're doing to look forward to what is going to go on next week. And I think that's great. I just didn't love the way that they went off the air, but we're only a couple of shows in and they did plenty enough for me to kind of stick with it, to be excited for week number 3.
Yeah, I'm excited to continue reviewing it and continue looking at episodes. It's a good balance of everything, like I mentioned, and I'm interested to see how that show continues to progress and develop as we continue to review these shows and trying to continue to find its identity and its match layout more than just we're showcasing Canadian wrestlers. It's like, okay, what's the style of this promotion?
Right. And sorry, just the biggest thing we talked about, the Billy Guns and the Johnny TVs and the Rhinos, and like they think those are the legitimizers. I can tell you, for me, what is a legitimizer is Don Callis on commentary as a part of this group promoting Canadian television, certainly Mauro Ranallo, but having the CMLL connection, having Mascara Dorada there, like in a place where he's not winning the tag team championships and he's losing to your team that you're already establishing. Those are the legitimizers to me that are going to make this. I can tune in, see some great Canadian wrestling, but I'm also going to see like Mascara Dorada in a match. I'm also going to see stars of CMLL. I'm also going to see, some other wrestlers from around the world, and Don Callis and Mauro Ranallo do a great job of tying that all together, making it feel a little bit bigger. He mentioned the Don Callis family from AEW on their commentary. And it's like, yes, okay, you're branching out. You're a little bit more than just this one territory, and you have nothing outside of the glass.
Right.
There is CMLL, there is AEW, there are people that are involved. And I'm not saying John Moxley's coming, but we saw John Moxley with Sami Callihan in like Revolver wrestling. And so there are possibilities of people coming in to be what you're talking about, the Chris Jericho, or maybe it's not a name that big, but other people to come in to do that. They have opened the doors to that. And I think that that's my legitimizer, not the really, really past their prime guys that people knew 20, 25 years ago.
And that we're not main event guys even in their prime. I think that's the big thing too, that promoters get caught up in. It's like, oh, they know these guys from 25 years ago. Yes, they know them as mid-carders from 25 years ago. If you're putting them in and legitimizing and putting them in the main event with those guys, like they're going to see them as, oh, like the guy from 25 years ago is actually in a bigger spot because, he was a mid-carder that back then. I haven't watched wrestling since, and I guess it has gotten worse. There is a thing in people's brains where it's like, oh, the mid-card guy I knew from 25 years ago is now a main event guy. Like that's why Jericho works, because everybody knew he was a main event guy, and that legitimized AEW. It's knowing how to use those guys. I'm not saying there's no spot for somebody like, some of those guys, even though I wouldn't be booking Rhino or whatnot, but it's how you place them on the card, right? And having them be, it's like Rhino in a squash. It's like, no, it should be somebody beating Rhino. It's like, all right, part of that next generation coming up. Yeah. So
Johnny TV shouldn't be in the main event and the last person you see after winning his main event match, and you're going off the air with him. Like that is exactly what you're talking about the placement in the card.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's episode 2 of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and we're excited to continue with this. As we said, a lot to look forward to next week with some of the Canadian independent wrestlers and mixing it up with some of the more well-known, where we are going to get to see Rohan Raja in the ring for the first time after they've built him up as kind of the legitimate next challenger to Stu Grayson and the Maple Leaf Pro interim heavyweight champion. So I think they're on path here to do a really good job at mixing some of the things that we've been talking about next week. So for Zach McGibbon, I'm Lee Versage. That is a review of episode 2 of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling here on This Is Wrestling.